Welcome to another episode of THOTS Podcast. We are not thoughts, but we have thoughts. True, honest opinions towards success. Join us for another candid conversation and valuable insight on achieving success in life and navigating through today's culture. Hosted by myself, Zakira Casado, along with some incredible guests. We're here to explore you on your journey of triumph. Let's dive in. I think that's just a really simple boundary. It's like, why would you do that?
I agree with you, but it goes back to what you said about love
Yeah.
and your temperament. Because I've had someone try to embarrass me publicly. I've had like someone tell stuff about me that was personal and stuff that I was dealing with and shared with people. And um, is if you love that person as a man,
Mhm.
you will. It hurts you, of course, because you feel violated. But if you still love that person, you're still going to try to fix it. And it's as toxic as that is. Um, I don't know. Like again, your actions will show you more about who you are by your actions.
Well, would that
So
same man try to fix that if it was another label doing that to them?
another label. What do you mean?
Let's say, because you're an artist, let's say a label or an industry, a business tried to do that
No,
thing.
no. We would
No,
we would go
no,
in
I'm
with
never.
baseball bats. We would go in there with baseball bats and change that scenario.
Right. Do you ever feel like men are point to not have the same space to have or feelings or feel hurt? Because
Absolutely,
yeah, I
absolutely.
before I had sons, I used to think it was a sign of weakness when a man cried
Yeah,
until
yeah.
I had sons. And then when I had sons, and I remember when, of course, it's different when they're a baby, right? They're going to cry. But if I remember, I think my son was like 12 or 13. And then when he was crying, I was like, yeah, he needs this outlet, and I felt bad as a woman of how many people I looked at like, you're weak when you were just trying to show me emotion, but I didn't know how to handle that because, again, if you didn't see it, there's no way for you to really hone it. It's kind of like men are kind of like in my background. This guy's this big dude, right? But at the same time, he experiences the same thing. And I think, and agree with me tell me if you agree with me or not, but I really do feel like we put too much stuff in a gender based thing. Like traditionally, men do certain things, women do certain things. And I do think there's double standards that we just
Sure.
are never going to see differently. You know, um, like women, when it comes to like sexuality, women, I think would have a hard time if a man was like, "Hey, one in college I was with a guy." But if
Yeah.
a woman said that to a man, he's probably not gonna. That's not gonna affect the way he's gonna look at her the same.
Depends on the individual. Because
Okay.
I know, yeah, I know. I've known women to be okay with that if it was, I mean, I'm in the music business, so it's all crazy. Um, but that was when I was younger. It really just depends on the person,
Yeah.
like, and the maturity, because, um, yeah, and most men, and it depends on the man, because I know men who would love the idea of their woman being bisexual,
Right. That's what I'm
and
saying.
yeah, me myself, I'm not interested in that kind of behavior. So, um,
You can take that off your resume.
yeah, like
I'm
you
saying
know,
this from the standpoint of the being a deal breaker. I'm saying like, um, I feel like sometimes, and I do it. I have a hard. Sometimes I struggle with this where I'll put, because this is a guy, he might not experience this emotion,
Hmm.
and only women experience this emotion. Like, I'm gonna give you a real time example, but
Okay.
I also believe there is some double standards, right? Where like
Yeah.
that double standard where, for most guys that wouldn't be a deal breaker, where it's like, oh, you had experiences, okay, well, let's move on. But if a man said it to a woman, but you said your experience is different because of your environment, but
Yeah.
societally is what I mean. But like for me, I went on a date once, and I'm sorry if this person hears this, but I went on a date, and this person had, definitely, I would coin them as social anxiety, where most relationships or most dates I've ever been on, when you go out, the man usually wants to see everything. He wants
Sure.
to sit where he can see everything.
Sure.
But this guy was like, man, you are so lucky that you picked this seat because you don't have to look at nobody. And even though I know they're not looking at me, I know that it feels like it. So I'm like, okay, I'm now not really in date mode. I'm more so in that this person has had some traumatic issues in their life. He's like panicking, like to the point of like most women are coined to not eat a certain way on a date.
Right.
But this dude didn't eat. Like he was like, where he mentioned something about his weight, and I would not even consider him as a like heavy or anything, or even if he was, it was just awkward for me as a woman to experience that, because now I'm like, well, if this was a relationship, I would have to be the one to help us if we. And so again, it took me out of dating mode, but we that really helped me to kind of look at myself and think, have I made someone feel this way in regards to my insecurities? And I was very thankful for the experience. Now, do I think this is someone that I could know? But at the same time, I think sometimes what we do is, and it would take me a long time to explain it, is like we put a coin on that only men experience this, only women experience this, when this is just, it just depends on the person. It's just the individual, which kind of makes things a little bit more free and allow people to be vulnerable. Like
Yeah.
that was weird for me. I was just sitting
Yeah.
there like, do I make have I made someone feel this way when I'm feeling a little on the heavy side, or like, I am sorry if I did, because this is very uncomfortable.
But you could only know things from your experiences. So you had to go through that to even be aware enough to self-evaluate.
Right,
So,
right.
like I can say honestly, from with everything in me, that I've never felt safe in a relationship. Safe
Really?
enough to be vulnerable. Yeah.
Really?
Because I tell you what, I understand that your best friend today could be your worst enemy
Yes. Yes.
tomorrow. And so, hell, I feel like having women sign what is it, NDAs before,
Yeah.
at the beginning of the relationship.
I promise you that has been a conversation. I used to joke around about it, but I mean,
Yeah.
that breaks my heart to hear that. I'm just being honest. But I understand it, because
Yeah.
I have definitely had experiences where I was very vulnerable, and those very things that you tell in your place of vulnerability, that's your weakest side. So now when you expose that, it's kind of like the what's the dude Samson. You
Yeah.
don't expose yourself, then this chick can cut your hair off,
Hmm.
and now everyone can attack you. That's what it feels like. So
I've experienced that. And
yeah,
so it kind of
that damn
um,
Delilah. Sorry.
makes me double down on that. Like it's like it's interesting because I'm not just. It's not like I just work in a cubicle, right? Like I'm outside. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like we promoting albums and we doing all these good things in mental health, and it's just one of those things. But yeah. I've never felt completely safe to be able to be completely vulnerable. But that's
Can't.
probably most men. That's probably most men.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that lady is. Let me stop. The best human being I know. Say
Yeah, that's probably most men. Most men probably feel that way. They don't say it and we mask it well, but yeah, it's definitely. But I think that's why men relate to my music because um when you listen to this album, even though and I still consider this a gospel record, but it's a very vulnerable record and it's a very raw sound like and even
it.
though I'm not married, I still speak in the sense of a married man.
Be do
Like,
have.
huh?
It's called be do have. Like most people have do be. They have to
Mm.
have it to be it, but
Mm.
really you need to be it to have it. So
Yeah,
if you're coming from a place of being already there, then you have no choice but to attract it. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I think that's another credit to artistry to have to leave the place of where it might be painful to go into a place of where you want to be and really create. Like that's kind of
yeah,
dope.
yeah. Because that is the place. And I say this reluctantly because I don't want my inbox jumping. Um, I really don't. I really don't.
Stay out his
uh,
inbox, ladies, with that mess. We're
I
gonna
got
get
I got
insurance
I got
damage.
so much other stuff going on. But yeah, I think that is the push creatively because I want to make music where a man can feel all facets of masculinity.
Yeah.
They can you can feel you can be vulnerable with heartbreak, and then you can go and you can feel like you can tear some stuff up with the book. The book is a very aggressive record, and it
I was
surprises me how many women like it. It's
I was in
crazy.
that car like
It's crazy. It's crazy. I know why dudes would like it, and the video on that is going to be real crazy. But yeah, heartbreak video is going to be crazy.
the '80s babies is gonna love. You know, if you
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I might be an old soul, but I love that daggone song. It was just like immediately, just some songs
Yeah,
you just immediately go into that. You know, I
that
forgot
it's that
about
808. It's that bass. As soon as that bass drop, you
yes, like
gone.
that hard boom, and it actually sounds like
Yeah.
instruments.
Okay, right?
I said it actually sounds like instruments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I
Well,
can
see,
hear the percussion. You know.
the cool thing is, when I perform with a band.
Mhm.
So yeah, I choose music that we can play live, and
Nice.
yeah, we're about to start doing some of the things that I got coming up. We're about to start doing date night tours where we can you can bring your couple or bring your girlfriends and just listen to some live good music. I'm gonna perform music off of Mr. and Mrs. and I'm also gonna perform music off of the latest EP. We're gonna have a comedian out there. We're gonna have like some gift bags and stuff, and it's kind of designed just for a reason to get dressed and be beautiful and come out and fellowship with good people and listen to some good music.
Nice. I used to have,
Yeah.
well, I've had two events called the single games nights, and you would come, and we wouldn't like, there was no bashing, it was just a conversation to have these kind of connections. And
Mhm.
when you just were saying, I'm like, that would be dope to have like music that's dedicated to like Mr. or Mrs. That album. That would be dope.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, we talk about that all
I'm gonna do another version of that next year called Mister, and
the time.
yeah, and I got another version of The Return of King Joppy coming out. I got a single coming out in a couple of weeks for an artist named Danny Nicole out of Atlanta, Georgia. I wrote and produced that record for her, and I'm
Oh,
featuring on it. Yeah, it's
nice.
pretty dope. Yeah,
Nice.
it's a pretty dope
And
project.
one other question I just wanted to tap into before we wrap up is Alpha Hats. Is that correct?
Alpha by J Lock.
Okay. So tell us how that happened. Like why the hat industry, um, and all that jazz. Like what got you inspired to go into that industry?
So when I first started, I started, of course, in the music game, and I was looking for to be a brand ambassador for other people's companies.
Hmm.
That was around COVID, when COVID first hit, and they was putting us in the house. Um, so that line was dead, but a friend of mine suggested that I just, well, people just started suggesting that I should do my own thing, and we
Right.
started out with the beard product. That turned, I think the first week I launched my beard serum, I sold out, but that was also from my fan base with the music industry, and I just kind of took that by storm and just kind of hit the streets and started selling my beard product, and it started working well, and then we jumped into a kiosk in Triangle Town Center, and that did amazing. And before the end of that stage of it, I had like 3 kiosks. I had like locked down the block. I did it like a hustle, like we was in the streets. I completely locked down the block. And if you acted out on my block, I would shut that down. Um, and we, yeah, oh yeah. Young boys, it's funny because I could chastise us. You know what I'm saying? Young boys come through there acting up. I could be like, shut the noise up. And they wouldn't say anything. They be whispering to each other, but they would never, they call me OG.
Who that? Old Baby
Yeah,
Davis.
yeah. I was breaking up fights. I was all kinds of stuff, man. But that turned in, just being still in the mall 7 days a week, and kind of seeing what we needed. And I grew up wearing hats, fedoras, and I realized there was no hat store in the city. So, that kind of just jumped. And when I did it, it was amazing. Like, I mean, I had everything in there: two rolls, Baileys, Kangos. Like, we had all kinds of, yeah. And it was so amazing because it was right down from Dillard's. Was it Dillard's? I think it was Dillard's. Yeah, it was right down from Dillard's on the second level. And culturally, there was no store. There's never been a store in the city like what we had going on. The energy was good. The You couldn't work for me and not have good customer service, because it's all about the experience. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of the store, is the experience. And yeah, the mall shut us down. They gave us 5 days to move because of jealousy and envy. And we're gonna spend the block on that though. We'll have updates on what happens with that. It's not done yet. But
Okay.
yeah, eventually I'll open a store back up. But this year I'm dedicating to mental health. Um, I'm doing a 100 city tour, going
Okay.
all over the country, promoting mental health in our community, and creating spaces where men can be vulnerable and have those discussions. And we're inviting the wives and the mothers of the kids to come, but we're asking that they sit in the back and listen.
And
Yeah,
listen, ladies.
and listen. Yeah.
That's what's up.
And
And where's y'all first stop, or how can people find out about the tour and all of that?
follow us on JLock on Facebook. We'll have some discussions and some links, some landing pages where they can come in and follow it. The first one may be in Raleigh. We're actually working on that now. But yeah. And I'm also writing a book, my first book this year. You're gonna love this
Congratulations.
title. You're gonna love this title.
Okay.
50 Reasons Why Men Cheat.
Oh, can you give me just three? Can you give me just three? Because I don't. Should a
I'll give you
woman
three.
should a woman feel like it's her fault ever? Unless she's not,
Yeah,
of course, if she's given.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Tell me
Yes.
the reason when she should feel like it's her fault.
When you're not available for him to listen.
Hmm.
Like I throughout my dating, I would seek the attention of other women. And you could blame it on culture, you could blame it on whatever. And it's a bad thing. It was definitely my fault, right? I'm not going to say I didn't play a role in it, but when
Hmm.
I realized that that would happen when I felt like I wasn't being heard in a relationship,
Hmm.
and a man that can be strong for his woman and be strong for her kids and be strong for his family and all of that, at least listen to that man,
Hmm.
because that man, he's human. Like that man go through things. I remember having conversations and trying to have, talk about how certain things made me feel in a relationship, and not being able to get it out because she don't want to hear it, or she got anxiety, or she's stressed or whatever. That energy has to go somewhere, and a
Yeah.
man will find a way to release it. And it might not always be, some men self-medicate, some men smoke weed, some men, I don't do any of those. I don't drink or smoke. So, it comes out in another way. So when I realized that, though, when I realized that, because it wasn't like I was trying to link up with them, or meet them, it was really conversation. When I realized that, it allowed me to express it and try to figure it out, and fix it within myself.
So, what about if it's a woman who, she has some things she needs to grow, but okay, let me not say that. Let's say in a situation, let's say in a situation where she believes that she has a space. Let's say she's not aware that you're not feeling safe, right?
Mhm.
Then why? When is it the man's fault when he cheats? Like, how is it? Okay, let me backtrack because I'm
I can
trying.
answer that. I can answer that, though. It's
Yeah.
always our fault. It's
Okay.
always our fault. Because just because I choose that doesn't mean that it's not wrong.
Yeah.
But with that being said, you also have to have the tools to even know. Like, who knows how to handle that unless you go through it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
What if the
so you got
woman is like? Because this is how I feel, right? I don't
okay,
condone cheating, right? But
right?
I
Me
may,
either.
right? Like I'm not like go out here and cheat, And I have had a situation where I've cheated, but in the past it was in a retaliation type thing. But I was young
Mm,
and I didn't
mm,
realize that it does absolutely nothing for you. In
mm,
reality, if you cheat back and that never was your original intent, you don't even realize your partner has more control over you than you have of yourself.
mm. Yeah,
That's how I took from it, right? Like, I don't even want to do this, but I'm doing it because I think it's going to make you feel bad. It doesn't even make sense. It's like
yeah.
drinking poison and thinking it's going to hurt you, right?
Mhm.
Um, so you have the experience, you have the moment, you have the cheat, right? The person cheated, and this person doesn't cheat back. You have the conversation. Look, what is this? Like, is this something that's going to continue? Is this something that you need to do? Is this, and the person just, no, it's not. They just not willing to step into the fact of this is what you're doing. There's no accountability.
Right.
How does it, because this is the thing that I think we as women do, and again I don't like to put it on genders. I don't know how men feel because I'm not a man, but when if you feel that you are doing the things in a relationship to make it safe and to have a good relationship and healthy and all that, and someone is being deceptive in doing this, Okay. And, then you have some people who do, people lie, no, I'm not doing
Mm,
this. It's a
yeah.
difference, in my opinion, when you come out. Like, I would be very much open in a
Mm.
relationship if my man was like, look, I made a mistake. But if I find out and now you're telling me, I don't think that that's, you know what
I
I'm
get
saying?
it.
That's her
I get
fault.
it.
I don't think that that's, yeah.
I get it. I could see. I could understand why you would even think that. Right.
Hmm.
Here's the problem with that. If you find that your man is cheating or that your woman is cheating, well, I say men because y'all are really good at cheating. Um,
Are we? That is so
Absolutely.
terrible. That is such a stereotype thing.
No, no,
Women
no,
good at
no.
cheating.
That's not. Y'all are really good at cheating. Men are not good at cheating. I was. I'm so not good at cheating, right? Because I'll go to sleep and I'll leave my phone, and I don't know how y'all breaking the phones and whatever. Y'all like part
I said if
CIA.
I ever, and this may cost me from finding my husband, but I used to say, or I have recently said, if I ever opened another business, because I have many hats. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I would definitely do private investigation.
You got a lot of people that would definitely want to work there and do well. Um, but see, at some point, men get tired of that.
Oh yeah, the
It's
women get tired of
exhausting.
it.
Yeah,
It's
it's exhausting.
it's a rat.
And
It's exhausting for both of y'all.
yeah, 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 yeah. And the sad thing about it is you're destined to repeat it until you find out the reason. You have to
Hmm.
get to the source. Now, this all boils down to how invested you are,
Yeah,
because I know relationships that has gone through some stuff that has birthed children that
yeah,
was not their own, and they
yeah,
still stuck it out, and they got it together, and they're happily in love, and they became a family. Um, that this new love is like, okay, you hurt me, I'm afraid of you, now go.
yeah,
And that, even no matter how much that relationship has brought you joy, have benefited you in, nurturing you, nurturing your family. Y'all build things together. Like they'll throw all of that away off of
yeah,
emotion,
yeah.
and so it's like. But I also understand. Again, no one taught us how to love anything,
Mm-mm.
so it's like I don't even know how to be that person in this moment, because how I've always done this is I'm out. If you hurt me, I'm done.
Yeah,
It's a very, it's, if that man is working, if that man is willing to work on your problem or his problem, it's worth it to explore.
yeah.
I believe, my personal
I believe
experience.
that too. I believe people are going to grow together. Let's say my
Yeah,
husband is out and he gets drunk, and I'm not saying I'm blaming the liquor, but let's just say that. And a woman, he's attractive, and women are powerful. They are I tell my kids this all the time when we were growing up. Listen, don't play with them. Helen of Troy was fought over one woman. The whole thing with the freaking Trojan
yeah,
horse, and that was because of a woman. This is
yeah,
why this was fought. So just understand that they are powerful. They can make you go crazy. Same thing with
I
women.
know.
I mean, same thing with men. Men have the same effect on some women as well. So
Yeah,
my thing is, I feel that we have this false pretense of that everyone's disposable because you have access to people differently than it was 50 years ago. 30, 40
right,
years ago, you didn't even talk to your person half as much as you do now because
right.
you leave, they didn't have cell phones. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if they did pop up with a baby, the woman was more more dependent on that man financially. Where
Yeah,
now women don't really realize. I'll never forget one of my business partners. She was a mentor. She said one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life was to tell my husband to leave because he actually left. She's like, I got
Mm-hmm.
this big house. I'm making money, but I don't have my man. All from not trying to work through, right? And
Right.
so I think that women should, I think culturally American women are a little different in regards to that side of this generation of the working
Yeah.
through part. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I do believe that everyone is not workable. If
Yeah.
you begin to
Absolutely.
experience things like gaslighting, you are now not owning up to it. You're playing, like you said earlier, there's a difference between a man trying and a difference between a man playing games with you, you know.
Right.
Like I just literally had this on my last show. I think my post went viral. It went crazy. I don't even think everybody would agree with it. But it was like, I'm not difficult to deal with, but I'm difficult to play with. There's a difference.
I like
Okay.
that. I
Yeah.
like that.
So if you are someone who's going to play games, I will remove myself because everybody has a lower side. All of us have a lower side. We have a higher self, lower self. And
Mm-hmm.
you keep playing with somebody, that love will come out. And I personally don't like her. So if
Yeah.
you bring her out, I call her, that's Marquise Quiche. I don't know who she is. But if she begins to come out and whoever that person is to you, I think that's when you should remove yourself because
Yeah.
no one's worth your sanity. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And if it's starting to become like crazy and your actions are affecting all of us and it's not in a direct, because don't get me wrong, we all make mistakes. And I think women have, and I would hope men are just as open to it as working with their women as well. I wouldn't be like Will Smith, and I won't
Mm-hmm.
because I read his book, so I think I take it more personal because his biography, it was so well written. It was such a good book, and then when you read it, you go, "God damn, Jada," But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I don't know. We're really not physically in their relationship, but from the outside looking in, I'm not saying I would want a guy to be that understanding because I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want someone to feel like they can do anything and not leave, you know.
Right.
But
I think that's the mistake with good guys. When they
yeah,
say good guys finish last, I think depending on how mature the woman is, I think an immature woman will confuse a man's patience because he loves her with a weakness where he can be walked over.
yeah,
Like at the end of the day, when I look at Will Smith and I look at Jada, Will is the man.
yeah,
Like like he's that guy in a
hmm
lot of circles, and I think there's a certain part of us who like to destroy the man when we don't see the value in him. Like I think there's a little bit of her wanting to destroy him.
yeah. I feel that too.
Yeah,
100.
yeah.
I feel like she is a freaking narcissist. I feel like
She
she
is.
has resentment towards him for whatever the reason. I don't know if it's their career based. I feel a sense of jealousy with her. And I feel like with her, it's the best example of if what it's like to sleep with the enemy.
Right.
And I've
I
had that
know.
experience on the other end where it's like, are you fucking excuse my French, are you jealous? Like,
Yeah.
it, and it's scary because like you said, it makes you kind of, you don't want to build this wall because everyone is not like that. And I think my reminder is always I exist. So because I exist, there has to be somebody else out here, right? And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
understanding that most people aren't on this journey of healing. Most people are not. So that's the other
Yeah.
part of healing that's so hurtful is that there's not many on the journey, but there are some. But I
Right.
100% agree. Like I feel like she has this fixation of trying to embarrass this man.
Yeah.
They have like this. I don't know if they have this thing where it's just cheaper to keep her.
Probably. If you're
Yeah,
Will Smith, yeah.
there was a point when she dropped all of this negative stuff. Like, I'm like, out of all the things she could have talked about in her book to promote her book, even if she put it in her book, to promote her book, she used every negative part of her relationship.
Hmm.
And I'm like, Will is the box office king. Like, he is, at one point, if Will was in the movie, it was a guaranteed shutdown, and here
Absolutely.
you are as a woman. I can't think of the scripture, but it's like a wise woman will build her home, but a foolish woman will destroy it with her own bricks or something like that. And that's what I
Mm.
feel like is Jada. Like, she
I
pisses
think you
me
just
off. I love
I
Will.
think you just did that scripture like Medea.
Right? Is that how she do it? But he's like,
She
this song
boxed
like
it.
that. This is a remix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
That's the remix. But I just get so like emotional when I think about it because I read that his biography. He said nothing negative about that woman. He exposed things, but he didn't embarrass her.
But he still loves her.
Yeah, he
Will and
does.
Jada's relationship is on a smaller scale what most immature couples go through. You have if one of the people in the relationship is immature, you're gonna get that.
Yeah,
I've experienced that. You know what I'm saying? Like I've experienced where it kind of becomes I'm going to hurt you because you hurt me. And people think that my what was it? I've been told God is gonna strike me down because I have an ego. So it's like, but I don't though. Like if you know me, I don't have an ego. I mean, I have an ego for like maybe 2 or 3 days after I make a hit record. But other than that, it's like I'm back to the grind. Like I'm a grinder. I've been called whatever is trending. I've been called a narcissist, but I'm not. I've been called. Um, I hate when people use the whatever the catchphrase word is. I'm gaslighting, and it's like
I
no.
don't know. You a Scorpio. My last relationship was a Scorpio. That's why I'm in therapy. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh Lord, that happens. That happens. But I'm a more evolved Scorpio. Um,
And I don't think it's really a situation with the. I take it's fun to go, and some personalities do fit into the zodiac. But I don't take
yeah.
it stone, But
No, no, no. But Scorpios, I do understand we're a piece of work.
yeah,
Like,
Scorpio.
yeah,
I mean, Scorpios also like you cannot in the wrong way because then they're going to
yeah,
be a scorpion. They're gonna they have a
yeah, yeah.
tendency.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Baseball bat, office.
my business
Yeah,
hours between 9
yeah,
and 5.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So,
But,
go ahead.
nah, I think we got a lot of work to do as a people. I think we got a lot of work to do individually and collectively.
Yeah,
But I think communication is everything.
yeah,
And in my experience, I can only speak for me. Um, I'm always a communicator. I'm always, let's discuss this. And I'm always a protector.
hmm
And when you have women that are not used to that, they buck. They
yeah,
don't, they, not only do people not know how to love, but people don't know how to allow themselves to feel safe. Everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants to feel safe. Men
hmm
included. Men
yeah,
included.
yeah. Of course, I think for and I think for someone to call someone or have a disorder like just because it's a topic that I do talk about often, anybody with NPD or narcissism, like they have no empathy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the reality is that we all have some form of it, and there is a healthy narcissist. There is a such thing. So, like, There's scales. If you think of it like a scale, you're a
Okay.
10 if you're, because a lot of times people will mistake it because we live in like, what's the word? I don't want to call like punks. This is the society of punks, but everyone's so damn sensitive. So if you have
Mm,
boundaries, a lot of people will say that you're a difficult person. If you have boundaries or you have a knowing of self or you're working on self, a lot of people will try to put you in a box and say, oh, because
sure.
I saw this video, this is you, you know.
Yeah.
But, then they'll say, oh, you're not telling me, you're not, because I want to communicate, you're saying it's this, when in reality, what gaslighting is, for people who don't know what it is, you're
Right.
that means someone is literally distorting your reality. Almost like, did we just have an interview? Like,
Right.
oh, we didn't win. And it's like, I know we did, and somehow you delete it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I know we
Right.
did an interview. I'm not going. That's
Right.
gaslight. That's like trying to change someone's reality. Now, that's what I
Right.
mentioned earlier. Like, that's different. Like, those type of things are definitely, and you don't have to be a narcissist to gaslight and vice versa. Like, some of us are, we just have different ways that, but anyway, I think,
I've only been called that by one person, and
which
these
could
are
be,
what. Hmm?
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I've only been called that by one person, and I understand that that is just a way of not dealing with what's in front of us.
Yeah, my coin is, if it's three, then maybe it's me. So in other
Mm,
words, if three people from different avenues tell me the same thing or they're not connected, then I'll take heed to it. I'll start looking at self like, well, maybe this is true. Like, I remember when I started my sales career, a lot of people called me loud, and I didn't see why they would call me loud. And then someone else said it, then someone else said it, then someone else said it, and I started recording myself on
mm,
listening to it so I could hear it on the other end. And sure enough, I was screaming in people's ears. And it wasn't like I was doing it on purpose. I was just excited. I didn't know how to do tonality back then,
mm.
or I had someone romantically in the past tell me that that I was narcissistic. And it made me go on a discovery of self. And it actually almost changed my life because it gave me a name to understand the dynamic of why I keep attracting it. I think he was, but but
Yeah.
I multiple people that have, you know what I'm saying? Now if it was like 5, 6 people, then I would take
Yeah.
heed to, then I would
Yeah.
go. But when you really take it back, that's like someone who does not have, they're so wounded that they don't even know self, to the point that they can't, they live in this world that doesn't even exist. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
anyways,
That was the case. Um,
yeah, so
looking back in hindsight. Yeah.
yeah, and like you said, sometimes people will say things knowing that it is probably, a reflection of self, just to
Yeah.
avoid self,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I wanted to, I don't know if this is going to be a 2-part series, but I'm excited that this conversation went very well. I wanted to get your take on this. I got this from our mutual friend, this quote, and I wanted to know your thoughts on it. And the
Okay.
quote of the week is, many hands make the work light. And I know, as an
Okay.
entrepreneur, I want your perspective on this because I used to struggle with this. I used to struggle with letting go things. Um, what I mean by that is like letting people have creative space in different areas, so I don't have to worry about certain things. Um,
Mm.
but when I heard this week, I was like, man, I cannot wait to have a bigger team.
Yeah.
Not all, but what are your thoughts on this quote? What
Be
comes to
careful of
mind?
be careful of the team that you pick. Um, but yeah, that would be a blessing. That would be a blessing. I got to a point where I understood in order to be wealthy, you have to bring people with you.
Yeah.
And when I got that concept, I started to because when you're working in the mall, you're working with all of these different ethnic groups,
Yeah.
and culturally, like they work together. They don't even have to like each other, but they'll work
Oh,
together for the bad. We culturally will try to destroy each other. We'll try to we'll tag along and then be envious if it's successful, and we'll try to destroy each other,
mm,
which I've experienced as well. So, but I mean, I remember trying to recruit family members. I remember trying to, even my ex-wife, like, yo, let's do business together. And I thought it would be a good look just to show the kids. But
yeah.
everybody had their agenda, and none of that agenda was us working together. So
Yeah.
it's like that's when I learned, like, culturally, like, man, we got a long ways to go. The only thing I could do now is try to, instill that in the kids, and my kids, like, in the next couple of years, I'm going to open up 3 separate businesses with my kids
Yeah.
because I don't want them to work for someone else. I do want them to be in control of their own life. Um, and I got little hustlers, like they are, like they're me and
What's
their
your age,
mothers.
if you don't mind me asking?
Hmm?
What ages do you have, if you don't mind me asking?
18, 14, 13.
Oh, okay. Those 14 and 13 are fun ages, but that's when they come. 18 is kind of like, you know, it's different. It's just different. I went to
She,
depression the first year. My
you
kids
know
got.
what? What
I
happened?
was depressed when my kids were like going on it because my young oldest son moved out at 18. He said,
Mm.
yeah, he said, I said, if you can save up 6 months, you can go. And he did it. And then my
No.
youngest, yeah, then my youngest left last year. And then my oldest came back when I had surgery for a while. So it's he and I. And I told him, no, I had to go back twice. But that first year, it was hard. Like the identity of mom to
Mm,
now like I still to this day, if I cook, I usually cook too much because I'm always thinking all of us. And then you
mm,
have this, and then that's the way I get them to come around is I be like, hey, mom, just cook.
mm,
Um, but it was a hard transition, and we had a little turbulence the year before. So when they left, I'm like, was it me? You get all these things, but at the same
mm,
time, it's really amazing to see like your invest. It's like you invested this time and
yeah,
energy, and a lot of parts of my life that I didn't live. You feel good when you see the thing because they're not. My kids are amazing. They're
mm,
amazing young men. But that first year, but then the second year, I was like, wait a minute, I got some freedom. I ain't got to check it. It was a different
mm,
vibe where you appreciate
mm,
it, and I was like, okay, it's about me now.
mm.
So with your ages and all of that, I will say this: the history of our this podcast. This is season 4, and
Nice.
the first 2 seasons it was 3 of us. Um, then the third season it became 2 of us, and now what I do is it's myself and I bring on guests. And for similar reasons, I think one of the things that I think us as entrepreneurs that we make a mistake in regards to this quote is the many hands we choose are not hands that want to do what we're doing.
Mm,
We have the idea, we're the vision that, you might have a vision, but everyone don't see your vision. And unfortunately,
right.
when people are close to you, they remember all the other stuff. So it's like, I feel like for me, I know I'm in the daycare industry also. I remember when I had tried to keep my daycare in New Jersey, but I had to stop because my relationship with my mom isn't the same as I wouldn't in business with someone else. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Sure.
just going to the podcast situation, this is my second one. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep starting over from scratch and having to need people, but I do know I need people, but those people might not be the people.
Right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, um,
Absolutely.
the second guess, it wasn't, nothing there. It was more so just timing wasn't right, and I wanted to continue and all of that. But I agree to be careful with the hands you choose
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because it stagnates you, and now you got to start over, and now you got to, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's
Yeah.
everybody are not builders; they're just not, and
Some are takers. Some are
huh?
takers. Some are takers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I think the family that needs more recognition and being an example of this is the Wayans brothers. Like, if you really look at the Wayans brothers and you really see what Keenan did and really saw the response of the siblings, all of us can eat. But if you really go take time to a seafood market and look in a crab barrel, you don't have to have the lid on for a reason. Like, they don't say that
right.
about us. And I think the thing that we got to remember is that we were not innately that way, but through our traumas, which,
Yeah.
some people are like, oh, don't talk about slavery. But the reality is, after Jim Crow, I feel like there were very intentional things to keep
Oh.
older and younger, light skin and dark skin, men and women,
Mhm.
all of that stuff is all, something that we have to get through, plow through, I believe. So
Yeah. I
I
agree.
agree with you on that maybe it should say many careful hands,
Yeah. You
many
gotta
specific
really, really.
hands, many right hands make the work light.
Yeah. 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 The right hands make the work light. Yeah.
Yeah, the right hands make the work light. We're gonna rephrase that. We're gonna rephrase
Yeah.
that. But
It can be. It can be. I learned a lot about us. I learned a lot about myself. They say when you get money, it really shows you who you are.
mhm,
And I can say, like, when I started to make real money, I gave a lot to people. Um, like that's just who I am. I would feed people all the time because I feel like if God blesses you and puts you in a position to be able to just show people, like be the light. And so it got to a point where all I had to do was raise my card and people already knew the restaurants already knew that I was taking care of it. Yeah.
yeah.
And a quick story. After I had lost a friend of mine and I was like really depressed, I didn't even understand it that I was depressed, but I was. And I remember that morning getting dressed and having this conversation with God, like, yo, I can't be feeling this. Like, I can't be going through this, like, getting
God,
close to
I need your
people
help.
and, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I was like, nah, that's not going to work. And I went to work that day. And the very first, what I normally do is I'll go to Chick-fil-A and get breakfast. And there was a lady, an older lady, and a little girl that was there. And not even thinking about it. It's just second nature, and I paid for it and I walked away. And she was so appreciative of that. And before she left the mall, like she stopped me again and and said how much she appreciated it. And it was one of them rare times I was in the store by myself. Honestly, I was so depressed. I was by myself in the store. It was quiet. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, and I'm just in my space. And I get a phone call, and it's her. And she started to tell me that earlier that week she had gotten told that her cancer that she had beat had came back, and it was more aggressive. And
Mm,
the only reason she was at the mall was because her kids thought that it would be better for her to get out the house with the baby because she's just been angry and crying. And she felt like me buying her dinner was a sign from God that it was going to get better. And
Mm,
she's crying on the phone, and here I am grieving. And then I start crying on the phone, and I start to share my story. But that was like God saying to me, like, you don't get to choose who you are. I designed you a certain way, and
right.
you're gonna be a light regardless because that's who I made you to be. That's who you are in this world. And that was the last time we needed to have that conversation. I embraced it, but yeah, it was crazy.
That's a beautiful story. And
Yeah,
you just don't know what people are going through, and it's no
yeah,
way people know what you're going through unless you tell them, right? And we're just
yeah.
naturally not going to just tell everybody everything, right? And some things are supposed to be dealt with alone, and these
Mhm.
strangers around. And I could feel I've had impulses, say something or give a hug or something like that, and I think that's God so showing up like you still have a
Yeah,
job to do. You
yeah,
still,
absolutely, absolutely.
um, so I'm definitely excited about what's next with Jay Locke, and your music is amazing.
Thank you.
Um, maybe one of these days we'll have you back. And um, any last things, like if you could think of anything that you might have forgot that you wanted to say, or that it's coming to mind now in regards to your music, or just your
Uh,
message in mental health, and for the fellas, what anything that you might have wanted to say before we was to wrap up.
Um, the music is on everything. Um, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Tidal, Pandora. So definitely not only listen to the music, but share the music. On my way here, getting ready for this podcast, one of my friends said her 16-year-old daughter has been playing the record nonstop, and so I was like, "Well, let's talk. I'll call her and I'll talk to her." And she's a singer. She sounds amazing. Um, so just to have those spaces where I can kind of pour into this little 16-year-old. She's sharing it on her TikTok and all of that, and I thought
Ah,
it was dope because
how do you do TikToks with it?
yeah, 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 yeah. So I was like, yo, that's dope. I think that not only listen to it, but share it with someone that you think could appreciate the music. I asked every one of your the people listening to share it, post it, um, gift it to someone. Mental health. I'm the only reason I'm doing mental health is because my understanding has always been in business. If I need it, someone else needs it.
Yeah.
And the only difference is in this particular model is it wasn't about business, it was personal. I needed to have this journey so that it could be on my radar to share it with men and women who are dealing with, you know, not having the real reason why they are the way they are. Like, I think the misconception for men is, you know, the catchphrase I always hear is that's just a man being a man. But it's not. There's a disconnect there. There's a reason why that man is running through women or whatever it is.
Tearing it down in these streets. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
ADHD.
but it's funny. I had a friend of mine's, and he was this cat was known for knocking niggas out. The last thing he said before he died, he posted it, and it just kind of stuck with me. Is he posted, "God use me," and
He
I was
said
like,
God used with ED on the end. God
"Use,
used me.
use, use me."
Okay.
Like he understood that there was a purpose in his life,
Yeah.
and he was at the point where he wanted to know what his purpose was,
Yeah.
and that was just so profound to me because here's this man that I know used to knock cats out. It was street, and he's at that point in his life and I never got the answer. And I have to reach out to a sister and see where he was at that point, because something was changing in him.
Wait,
But
did he pass?
yeah, he died.
You did
He
say that.
died like a week or two later.
Mm.
So you never know what people are dealing with, where people are. Be patient. We're in a culture now where everybody want to talk about everybody flaws and you know.
Yeah. Well, no one's perfect. And we got to remember that we all are going through our own journeys in this very short period of time. And,
Yeah,
some people think it's long. I don't think it's long. And I think
nah, it's
I
not.
think it's not. And if I really feel like if you and I'll tell this really short story, but I remember these kids were going crazy in Jersey. There's buses and trains every like 10, 15 minutes. And it was like prime time, people getting off of work, kids are acting crazy with this guy. And his lady says, "Excuse me, sir, can you please tell your kids to sit down? I just got off of work." And the guy said, "Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell them to behave when they just found out that their mom died. We just left the hospital." And so now these kids
Mm,
acting up. It's not this man who doesn't have control of his kids. It's this man who just lost his wife and they just lost their mother and they don't know how to deal with it. And so
right.
now this woman who was putting herself first with getting off of work versus not trying to understand the situation, there's no way to understand what each person you see is walking through and what they're going through, because we all have a purpose, and God has different ways of getting you there. I'm thankful for every trial and tribulation, every heartbreak,
Mm, love it.
every up, down, every positive business plus, and every failure. And I feel like failure is really a lesson if you learn. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm excited about all of the things that you're doing. Thank you for your time, J Lock, for being here
Thank
with
you.
us. This will air on, well, let me tell y'all. So normally our shows air on Sundays at midnight, but we have changed the time to Saturdays to midnight. This will be the first one.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
I
this will
like
be the
that.
one. Yeah, April 6th instead of April 7th. After April 7th, I will have no Sundays to myself. And so until I have an editor, no, let me stop. But anyway, every Saturday, so April 6th, you guys definitely check this episode out. Share it. We'll share the clips in between the times. And like we always say, any last words before I wrap up?
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had a good time.
Me too. Me too. Thanks for being here. I think we're going to touch a lot of people. The goal is always at least one.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Yeah.
my job is done. I think I'm supposed to be a rapper. But anyway, until next time, everyone, again, love, peace, and hair grease. Until next time, take care. True, honest opinions that stick. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of THOTS Podcast, True Honest Opinions Towards Success. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to leave us a review, share your thoughts in the comments, and your reviews literally help us to improve and create content that resonate with you. Until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Bye.